The Inside Outside guys. Get you guys set up. Oh man, what is happening, mediocre people of YouTube? This is beyond mediocre here. This is some straight up new guy shit. It is Saturday morning, May whatever, first week of May. Going to pick up the boat. It's that time. So I'm at the gas station getting a little go-go juice, and I'm headed out pick up the boat from storage. We've had a early spring here in Michigan. It's been the weather. Number one, we had a very mild winter for Michigan. Very little freezing, just like overnight freezes, but nothing crazy, like, you know. And they said that, I heard that was going to be because of because last winter was mild, and then they said this winter was even going to be more mild because of the El Nino, and that whatever, it happened. It was very mild. So the weather has been sporadically warm since 1st of April, really. March wasn't too bad, but April really popped out. In fact, all the leaves are on the trees right now. I mean, pretty much all the trees are filled with leaves, and there's been years I haven't seen that until like middle of June. So it's a big deal. So everybody and their brother, as soon as the sun started shining, they got their boats out, and that's cool, and that's what I'm going to do now that I have time on a Saturday to do it. So wanted to check in with you guys, and you know how it goes. Let you know what I'm thinking. First of all, I want to recommend a product before I forget. And it's a company called Core Essentials, K-O-R-E Essentials. And I just got it yesterday. I got the tactical belt, but all their belts are kind of like the same zip code, right? First of all, I don't have any ass, so I have to rely on my belt to hold up my pants. Those of you who don't have any ass know what I'm talking about. So I'm always interested in a good belt. You know, I usually run, you know, heavy leather belts, and more recently, the more I carry my firearm with me, between that and my lower back issues. When I'm carrying my firearm, I need it to stay in the same place and whatnot, so that the weight distribution and everything is correct. I can set it and it's good to go. You know, I can't be screwing around, because it really does. It affects my back. My lower back is just getting worse and worse, and I'm gonna have to do something about it, and that's probably gonna happen relatively soon. Anyway, I ordered Core Essentials tactical belt, and I actually have a piece of it here that I brought with me because I wanted to show you guys what it looks like, and now I can't find it. Of course, I don't really want to be looking for it while I'm trying to drive here. Damn, I just had it though. I swear to God, I just had it. Anyway, it's a black belt. It's kind of like canvas, and what happens is you can cut it to size, and then you just you affix the belt buckle, and then the system is a ratcheting system. So you just put your belt on, you pull it through, click, 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 and set it to where you want it, and then there's a little release on it. I would recommend this belt to anyone. Now, even if you're now. Of course I want to try out with my firearm. It's perfect. I can wear the firearm all day long, no problem. Whether inside the waistband or out. No problem with this belt, because once I put it, it doesn't move from where it goes. So that's important to me. But even without carrying a firearm, I would recommend this belt to everyone. You know, I like my different belt buckles. That's the only downside of it, is that you have to use their buckle. And I got a whole slew of different belt buckles. bunch of rebel flags and shit like that. So I guess I'll just save those for when I'm wearing my regular leather belts. But yeah, man, if you guys have any interest in belts, and probably especially if you're interested in like tactical belts for carrying a firearm, go check them out. KORE, Core Essentials. Pretty cool, and I'm not being paid for this or anything like that. Every once in a while I come across a product that it's reasonably priced and it works really well. This is one of those times. So other than that, I've been checking out you guys and trying to keep up with you guys as much as I can, usually early in the morning. And I see what y'all are doing and see what's being talked about. Oh, just lost my smoke. Damn, clumsy driving today. Clumsy driver. What's going on up here? Anyway, you know, I haven't really, I've put out a couple little videos, but I haven't really released anything about, you know, the talk in the nation lately. And it seems to me that I see these universities and whatnot, I'm hearing about it little by little. I'm not really that interested, so I'm not really researching it too much, but I hear about it. And it seems to me that in the United States, anyone that has anything to say that's pro-Palestinian is like, it's almost to the point where it's like, oh, you need to arrest that man. He's pro-Palestine. You know, and that's not cool. There's a lot of kids that are, of course, being indoctrinated. They have no idea what they're even protesting about. But when it comes to this mess with Israel and Palestine, you know, the same thing that has needed to happen for decades needs to happen now. It needs to be a two-state solution. That's the only answer to this issue, is a two-state solution. Now, you would think that would be easy to do. And the Palestinians are willing to do that. I mean, guess who's not? So, you know, it's give and take. But you start getting into this stuff and you start to realize that, you know, the Israelis are not innocent in this debacle. In fact, the Israelis are not innocent at all. They have, as it turns out, and if you actually seek the truth of what's going on, it seems to me that the Israelis are extremely violent. I'm not going to let the Palestinians off because I think they're violent as well, but it seems to me that one side is more in a defense mode than the other. Now, why do I care? Well, part of the reason that I care is that I have several people in my life that are Lebanese. I've worked with a lot of Lebanese people during my career in the wrecking industry. And, you know, back when 9/11 went down and the whole country was ready to get rid of all the Muslims, and all they talked about is how the Muslims are dangerous and violent and everything else. I was working with a lot of Lebanese people at the time who were all Muslim for the most part, and I did not see that. I saw the exact opposite. I've mentioned this before. I live right outside the largest Lebanese community in the United States, which is Dearborn, Michigan. If it were not for the Lebanese who live in Dearborn, Michigan, Dearborn would be 100% shithole the way the city of Detroit is. And I know you guys watch the NFL draft, and I know they showed you how pretty our city is. didn't show you one street away from all the pretty stuff, because literally one street into the neighborhoods is like a fucking war zone. I mean, you would have thought a war went on. It's bad, man. The city of Detroit is not what the media is making it out to be. The city of Detroit is actually in trouble. Although the NFL draft certainly gave it a cash boost. The current mayor of the city of Detroit, Mike Duggan, who is the first white mayor to be elected in many, 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 many years. They credit him with cleaning up the city a lot, and that may be true in the downtown area, and with his buddies that are in the construction and loan business, and Dan Gilbert and all them guys, that may be true. It may be true that he tore down a lot of abandoned homes, more than the previous administration. The problem with that whole thing is that I don't know how you couldn't. The abandoned homes in the city, the amount of abandoned homes in the city of Detroit is ridiculous. Even now, after they've tore down record numbers of them, it's still 100, just ridiculous. And you go down there and you are starting to see in some areas people start to take pride in their neighborhood. And that's cool. And man, there's some really, really nice, beautiful, big mansions down there that are all just sitting boarded up, abandoned. And it would be, I thought about this, it would be really cool to go buy one of those homes, because you could get them. Some of these homes you could get for $10,000, $20,000 easily. And I'm talking about a 6-7 bedroom home, big ass home, historical home. You could get in there and redo it, make it absolutely beautiful, and it'd be awesome to live in. But then you would have to go outside. And keep in mind, you got to make sure someone's home when you leave for the grocery store, because otherwise there more than likely will be people inside your house. You will be missing things when you get home. Now, that's not 100% of the time, but that happens all the time. You have to figure out where you're going to go grocery shopping, because there's no grocery stores. There's liquor stores, but there's no grocery stores around. You can go to the downtown area and go to restaurants, but most of those are extremely expensive. You're not going to want to go there all the time. So it's a mess. It's a lot bigger mess, and it's more complicated than what I just talked about. It really is. But this mayor has spent so much money and extended so much credit that it looks like it's probable, because he's going to leave office soon, and it looks like it's probable that within 2 years after he leaves office, the city of Detroit is likely going to have to file for bankruptcy again. Yes, again. And okay, but I guess the problem I see with that is that there's a whole bunch of people in the state of Michigan here that are putting him on a pedestal, and he is going to make a run for governor, and he's probably going to win because the people in the state of Michigan put him on a pedestal. And that's the issue I see, in the future, is that he's going to end up running the state into the ground quietly, and then he'll leave office and the damn state's going to be screwed because he spent so much money, So, another Democrat, and Mike Duggan, I have to say he was good for the city. He's the best thing that we've had for the city of Detroit in a long time. But, again, the spending policies are just about these college protests, and again, I haven't really dug into it too much to see what's actually going on. But I do know just by hearing college protests that it's likely that there's a bunch of kids who have no idea what they're even protesting, except whatever they're parroting from bits and pieces of what people have told them. On the other hand, I think it's really important that we have some Palestinian people and some pro-Palestine protests, because you have to look at both sides. You can't just look at one side of the issue and say, yup. Because if you were to look at one side of the issue, being Israel, which seems to be that everybody just looks at Israel, support Israel regardless, unconditionally support Israel. And I think that's got to stop. Because like I said before, Israel is not innocent in this. They are, just as violent, if not more violent, and have done more harm than people even know. So when it comes to that, I ask you guys to look at both sides of the issue and then make if you're interested in supporting one side or the other, make your decision after researching both sides of the issue. But yeah, it's a mess, and this country is a mess. I talked to a neighbor yesterday, and we were talking about, because he said, how are they gonna fix the election this time? And I said, I don't know. Because there's no question that former President Trump is so far ahead of everyone. I mean, there's no question. And there is so much of the corruption that we see on that's been going on. The corruption in the country is being exposed. Just, what you're seeing, what's happening with former President Trump, with all this court stuff. I mean, he's spending a fortune defending himself when he could have just pardoned himself. He could have just given himself immunity. And there's a certain immunity presidents have. But I'm talking about before he left office. They asked him, they said, listen, do you want to just, give yourself immunity on anything that they could bring up? And he said, well, what could they bring? Do they have anything? And they said, no, but they have enough to where they could make your life miserable. And he said, fine. So none of this would be going on had President Trump just given himself immunity, pardoned himself, basically, before he left office. And I think what's going on right now, and I give him a lot of credit for doing what he's doing and spending the millions of dollars on his legal fees with what he's doing. I give him a hell of a lot of credit, because they don't have anything on him, but they're making his life miserable, right? Thankfully, he has the means to defend himself, because if it were you and I, man, we'd have been locked in the jail a long time ago. They are trying to take his freedom of speech away from him. Judges are trying to go take his freedom of speech, putting gag orders. I understand, don't talk about the case, but they're trying to just shut him up. It seems like everyone with any power in this country is doing everything they can to shut him up. Why? So I guess when this next election comes, you need to decide, do you want people to just shut up? And do you want to just go along with whatever our elected officials decide for you? Or do you want to be in a country where we have the freedom to ask questions and get those questions answered? Where we have the freedom to ask our government to clarify what they're doing? Or do you want to live in a country where, just like old-time Russia, right? Shh. The walls have ears. Watch what you say. Because that's where we're at right now. And if you don't believe that, you need to sit quietly in a room and just think about things for yourself. Put everything you've heard in the media out of your head. Just think about things for yourself, and I'll give you a couple of things to think about. When President Trump was in office, he's the only president since the Korean War to go into North Korea. Why? Because he wanted peace. He wanted to find a way, a peaceful resolution for the United States and North Korea. He wasn't looking for trouble, no. And that's everywhere he went in the world. He was looking for a peaceful resolution. President Trump is a man of peace. You watched when we had an election and Joe Biden was supposedly elected. You watched what happened, and you saw Russia invade Ukraine almost instantly. I need a bottle of water. You watched what happened with Russia and Ukraine. That was a threat for a long time, but it wasn't happening while President Trump was in office, because what did Vladimir Putin say? I'm not going to mess with Trump. He's too unpredictable. At the same token, what did President Trump say about Russia? Well, you know, I'd like to be able to get along with Vladimir Putin. I'd like to, of course, you know. Why? Because we want peaceful resolutions around the world. You saw what happened with China. Billions of dollars were flowing into the United States that are rightfully belong to the United States via taxes from the Chinese. Billions started flowing in that the Chinese were not paying before. And then we had an election. And now the Chinese are no longer paying. The Chinese laughed at us. Let me tell you something. The United States is the laughing stock of the entire world right now because of our current leadership. That is a fact. The United States is weak right now. The entire world might as well go try and have their way with the United States, because guess what? They probably will. Look at the border situation. Right there. Millions of people coming from all points of the globe through the Mexican border. I know what some of you assholes are going to say, ooh, scary Mexicans. Not about Mexicans. It's about millions of people who are coming into the United States illegally. Why? Why don't they just come legally? That's the first question. So you're coming to the United States because you want a better life, and you're starting off by breaking the law, by illegally entering the country. There is a reason people are coming illegally and not coming legally, because it's not that hard to come here legally, especially right now. And our current leadership, our current president, is allowing this to happen, and then goes and tells you, oh, everything's fine. And it's and reporters, the most liberal reporters in the world, are questioning the current president and are saying, how can you possibly say everything is fine? look, you know, I'm talking about the most liberal media in the country is going, how can you possibly say everything is fine? And he tells you that about everything. Oh yeah, the economy's doing really well. No, it's not. The economy is doing really well, but you have to ask the question, really well for who? Okay? So if you've got a couple of $100 million or even $100 million, you're going to be fine no matter what. Okay? The economy's doing well for the wealthy. Okay? And it really doesn't affect them anyway because they're going to be fine either way. But the economy is doing well. If you've got $100 million, you're doing okay. You know? But if you're a middle class person out here trying to make a day to day, I don't know how you do it, you know? Especially people that are living that paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. There's no way you can sustain that in this country. So there you go. If there's any people who have crossed our border illegally and they're watching this video, good luck. Because unless you want to live in a cardboard box, there's no way you're going to sustain living paycheck to paycheck right now. Between rent and the bills that come with that and groceries. Look into the food processors who have just by coincidence caught on fire. You know, and that brings the guy I was talking to yesterday, the neighbor. He's a pilot. He's been flying for well over 30 years. I don't know if he's quite made his 40 or not, but I know he's been flying at least 30 years. He does cargo, flies at big ass 787s. I remember when he's flying the 777s and all that. Anyway, he's still flying. He was going to retire, but they started just throwing money at him. So I mean, that's usually what happens, you know. But I was asking him. I said, "You flying Boeings?" He says, "Yeah." But he goes, "I wouldn't fly those Max things." I said, "Really?" He goes, "You could not pay me enough to fly one of those things." That's coming from a pilot that has well over 30 years of experience. He said he wouldn't do it. If they said tomorrow you got to fly a 737 Max, he'd say, "Sorry about your luck." So that's coming from an airline pilot of over 30 years. By the way, the last whistleblower, airline pilot, he somehow ended up getting some type of upper respiratory infection that they could not figure out, and he's dead. Look at the country you're living in, man. If you guys want to continue to live in this type of country, vote Democrat. And you're just going to get raked through the coals. You're going to be a slave. That's what the Democratic Party in this country is all about. That's what they want. They want slaves. Slave labor, meaning the middle class. And they will take care of their own. But if you want a country that keeps its eyes open, and I can't guarantee this with the Republican Party, but you need to look at who you're voting for. And unfortunately, the Republican Party is all we have right now. I voted a straight Republican ticket in the last local election and state election, and I've never done that in my entire life. But that's just the way it has to be right now. Anyway, I'm probably getting a little long here, so, and I'm getting close to where I need to be to pick up the boat. So I'm going to cut you guys off and say, just arrived in Monroe, Michigan. Yeah, we got 30 minutes here. I don't even know if I'll upload this. Peace out.